continuing on, when we last left off, if I hit play here, what we get is we get the most exciting thing we've ever seen. We get this circle, okay? Notice that I'm not calling background, right? Remember, background paints the picture. So really, it's filling in this circle over and over and over again. It doesn't look like it's changing, but it is. It's just going with the pencil and going over it and over it and over it and over it and over it 60 times a second. As fun as that is, not that fun, right? So we started thinking, well, how do we get this thing to move? And we talked about variables, and we said, okay, well, what we want to vary, right? The thing we want to change is the position of this thing. If I was doing a flip book, right? And I drew the first circle over here, and you can't see it, but trust me, and the next circle to the little right, and the next circle a little more to the right, you know, something like that, and then I flip through, we would see this thing go to the right. Well, why can't we do that same thing here in processing, right? We have this void draw, it's running 60 times a second. Why don't we just keep on every time we draw it, throw it to the right? Well, how do we do that? What we do is the center position of the ellipse that we're trying to draw, we create a box for it, all right? So that we have a center X and a center Y box, and we say, whatever's in this box, that's where we're gonna draw the circle, okay? So what we do is we put values in these boxes. So here's center X, the box center X, and the box center Y can be this one down here, okay? And what we're gonna do is we're going to, so center X, center Y. Okay. We can label them. Just running out of sheets. Somewhere here. Professional video. So professional. Here we go. All right. So, I only have like 3 sheets left. This is going to be an interesting lecture. And then we will use tape. All right. Center X. All right. And center Y, right? There's nothing up my sleeves. Center Y. Oh, I should have made them different colors. Too late. And center Y. Okay. And now what we're going to do, just like processing does with width and height, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to initialize these things. So let's say we wanted them to start in the center, right? You can do some mental math in your head. What would that look like? Well, it would look like... Okay, I'm starting this in the center. Oh, width over 2, right? I could start it, I can put center X at width over 2, and it'll always be in the center of X. Think about that, right? Every time I open a box in my apartment now, it has a number in it. Oh, right. Okay, and then center Y, we can put it height over 2. This one already says height on it, so I'm just going to take advantage of that and put that over 2, right? Over 2. Okay. And that will put this thing at the center. All right. And then, if we want to move this thing to the right, well, we just update it. Okay, so this is evaluating to a number, and this is evaluating to a number. Okay, so we'll draw it at the center X, center Y first time. Okay. And that's our center X, center Y, right? It's drawn at center X, center Y, which is height, width over 2, and this is height over 2. And now, the next time through, we want to move it to the right. What we're going to say is, we're going to say, well, after you draw this, make the X position equal to the previous x position, which is width over 2, plus 1. Okay? And we'll say down here, make the y position equal to the previous y position plus 1. Okay? And that, I'm sorry, we're not going to do that. We're just doing it with x, right? If we do it with y, well, we'll see what happens. That'll be an exercise for the reader. We're just doing it with x right now, right? So we're just moving it to the right, okay? And so x equals x plus 1, all right? So that means every frame of this, we're updating x by 1, right? Which, if we're doing 60 frames a second, if we're going through draw 60 times a second, this thing is going to move 60 pixels a second, all right? It'll look like a smooth motion. Remember, if we don't call background, it'll actually just keep on drawing this circle on it like that, and you'll see tons of circles. Maybe we can do that first, and then we can look at what it looks like to actually put the background in. Okay, so let's do that real quickly. So right now, this ellipse is being drawn at the same position over and over again. It's being drawn at 100, 200. Okay, we could still start it at 100, 200. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we want it to vary, we've got to put a variable in it. So we think to ourselves, well, this is where the x position is, or the center x. This is where the y position is, or the center y. This is where the x width is. I'm sorry, the width of the thing, right? And the x diameter is what they would call it. And the y diameter, or the height of this thing, okay? And so which one do we want to vary? Well, we're going to move it to the right in this case, right? Easy enough. So we want to vary this, so we come up with the variable for it. So you can always identify the thing you want to vary and put a variable in for it. And that'll allow you to update it. So let's vary this real quickly. What are we going to vary it to? Well, we'll say that this is the x center x. All right, I just pulled the variable out. All right, now obviously I can't just pull a variable out without declaring it, right? So that's what this screen is screaming at me. What is center x? It says center x does not exist. Sure doesn't. All right, so let's make it exist. We're going to use global variables. Remember, global variables can be used both in setup and draw. Not the greatest thing, but whatever, we don't care. Center x. Okay, so int center x, and it's just saying missing semicolon right now. And if we wanted to start this thing, we wanted the first time it was drawn to be at 100. For some reason, we started at 100 last time, so why not just keep it? We could do that, okay? Notice that this is telling the computer, go check the box center x and see what values in it, okay? So if I hit play here, it's the same exact program, right? Because we never changed center x, and it's drawing it here over and over again. So what we've basically done is we've just changed this to a variable, but we haven't varied it, all right? Well, what does it look like to vary it? We talked about this last time, and we just did it over here, right? We could say something like, change the center x to the previous value of center x plus 1. All right, and if we don't put background in there, this thing will draw it a million times, and it'll have a cool trail, which will remind you of the 1960s. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. It's really slow. It's like comically slow. Okay. Well, cool. All right. So if you wanted to make it comically faster, well, not comically, like faster, right? We would just add more. So now if it jumps 4 pixels, you're like, wait, that's a jump. But it doesn't matter. Your mind will put it together and make it seem like everything's smooth. So unless the jump is too big. And so it's going, whoa, okay, see, it's just going a little faster. And now, if we want to do our background thing, we could do that here. And remember, if you give it one number, it'll be some shade of gray. So I don't know, let's do 120 or something. I forget, they have what the default background is somewhere in the processing reference. So if you want to always do that, yeah, I made it a bit darker. But yep, we got a smooth motion. This thing's flying across, all right? It would be even smoother if my camera wasn't on and this video wasn't on and all sorts of other things going on right now. So, pretty cool. All right. There's one more thing I want to do, but I'm actually going to stop this video. We'll ask a few questions, and then I'll see you in the next video.